Hi everybody, this is Phil Lewis, CTO of Peer Insights. One of the most exciting things that's happened over the last, 2 or 3 years is the incorporation of large language models into search engines. And we've been grappling over recent weeks to work out how we can use the generative AI models inside of a search engine. You know, we've been using large language models inside of search to do features that Google can do, things like knowledge graph answers and extractive answers. And we were trying to work out exactly how we might be able to use generative answers within a search engine. So this demo hopefully will show you how generative answers could be used, and it's incredibly exciting technology. So I'm just going to kick off. This is a little demonstration system that we've put together. Just do a couple of queries to orient you to the system. So if I do a search for something like this, we can see that we get a whole bunch of products back. So it's regular search. The search engine of choice here within this demonstration is Elasticsearch. But we are using vector-based search, and we are using these large language models behind the scenes. So if I just change that query to be something like that, you know, we've got a whole bunch of products that talk about that. We've got upload information about that data, which are actually product manuals, in fact. We have review data about that information as well. So lots of different ways of interacting with search, and just generic search, of course. Where the power comes in, of course, is when we start asking questions of the system. So it could well be that we want to ask questions. So if I come into this and just do a quick question for something like this, I don't know, how much do you charge for servicing? Execute that query. You can see we get a response from the generative answer system, and this has essentially used potentially multiple documents to answer this question. So it's gathered the right sections of multiple documents. It's then kind of summarized those sections of documents into a single response. We still get traditional search engine responses down here. So here you've got product servicing, you've got how to register your product so that you qualify for servicing. These are all relevant results which have come directly from the search engine. But up here we have a direct answer to that question. Let's ask it some different questions. I don't know, something like how does the product 1 and product 2 compare? Now while it thinks about this question, we have data within the system that essentially describes what a DAC XP signature is. We have data within the system that describes what a DAC XP is, but none of that data is actually comparing both. So again, what's happening here is the engine has been told to look at this data for the DAC XP signature as discrete document or discrete set of documents, look at this data for the DAC XP again as a discrete set of documents, and then look at the differences essentially between those two. And there we get a response from the engine which kind of summarizes the differences between those two systems. So if we ask it this question, this is kind of a subjective question, really. Let's see if the generative AI can cope with this kind of subjective response. Execute the query. And there is a response. As you can see, based on the information provided, has been highlighted as part of that. So this text does not exist in any of the documents that we have presented to the engine. It has been generated by the AI with its considered opinion, essentially looking at multiple parts of documents and then summarizing that in this way. Let's ask it another question. So what is a QXR upgrade card? we instantly get the data on it, which I can read. The whole point here is that we don't want to wait for results to come back from the system, so we are immediately providing that info. But at this point, we're also summarizing what that object is by analyzing all of the text around that subject and then putting together a quick summary at the top of the page which describes what that object is. And interestingly, we can change that output. So right now, it's the generating output for audio files. The majority of people who will be traversing this website will be audiophiles looking for high-end audio equipment. But I can also say, generate this output for a technophobe. So somebody who doesn't know what 384 kilohertz resolution is, or what 32-bit means, or what 24-bit files means. So let's see what the response looks like when I ask it to summarize this information for a technophobe. So you get a slightly dumbed down version of the text, and I could even go all the way down. I say all the way down, but we could go down to a text summary for children. And here you can see the response. So it takes out a lot of the technical jargon from that. So it's really quite interesting. And one of the last things we added into the demonstration last night is the ability for the system to actually produce that answer in multiple languages. By default, it's going to answer your question in English, of course, but we can support multiple languages. So if I go to this and say, let's go with Romanian. Okay, or even, I don't know, something like Arabic. Or even, I don't know, I'm tempted to select Welsh, but I'm not going to. I don't know, something like Ukrainian. Okay, so hopefully you can see what generative answers can bring to the game of search. It's quite interesting technology. It may even supersede some of the knowledge graph-based answers systems that we've put together, maybe even the extractive answers pieces, because extractive answers can only look at one chunk of document at one time, so they can only produce the response or the answer from a chunk, whereas generative answers can kind of look at multiple chunks of documents all at the same time and make a considered response based on what those chunks, multiple chunks from multiple documents, are saying. Well, one quick point to make is that you may have noticed or seen in recent press that large language models can kind of hallucinate answers and sometimes hallucinate incorrect answers. We're using a technique that doesn't allow the large language model to do that. It inhibits that specifically, so only your content is used as the knowledge base for it to provide an answer. So it's not reaching back into its kind of neural network memory of things that it's read on the internet. Your content is the exemplar document containing facts, and it will only answer questions using the facts from your documents specifically. And of course that means we can scale to millions of documents. We don't need to train the model in any real way. We can rely on its understanding of language based on its training that it's already had, but the facts come directly from your content, not from the internet. Thanks for watching our little demo. If you've got any questions, please reach out. I'd be happy to talk to you. Thanks.